So, in the previous video, was Gregory a cannibal? I established that Gregory was stray dog, and that stray dog lured children with sweets, kidnapped them, and ate them, according to the orphans. I then ended the video with a journal entry from Gregory, in which he talked about feeding Joshua some pea soup, and questioned that maybe the vegetable pea had a deeper meaning. So, let us take a deeper look at what the symbolic meaning of pea really is. In the Gingerbread House chapter of Rule a Rose, Jennifer overhears Gregory telling the following story in the basement.
Stray dog walks the streets each day, collecting peas as he walks to and fro. Big peas, small peas, every which kind of pea. Come Monday, he finds a pea. Come Tuesday, he bags the pea. Come Wednesday, he shows the pea to his son. Come Thursday, the pea kicks and screams. Come Friday, he grinds up the pea. Come Saturday, he buries the pea outside. The pea is in the ground. And by Sunday, it can't be found. Good night, young pea. Good night, young pea.
Isn't it odd that Gregory gives human-like action to these peas? They have the ability to kick and scream. So, could the peas in Gregory's story be referring to the child victims that stray dog lures, kidnaps, and then eats? There is no mention in Gregory's story of stray dog luring with sweets, but there does seem to be a pattern of stray dog capturing,
He bags the pea.
killing,
The pea kicks and screams. He grinds up the pea.
and burying.
He buries the pea outside. The pea is in the ground.
What about Gregory's diary located in his study during the Gingerbread House chapter? Can any connection be found between elements of Gregory's story and entries in his diary? I think so. Let's look at a line from Gregory's story.
Come Saturday, he buries the pea outside. The pea is in the ground.
Now, look at these two Saturday diary entries. Saturday, June 14th. Cloudy. Planted peas in the ground. Saturday, June 21st. Clear skies. Planted peas in the ground. These two Saturdays are unique, since there are no other times that planting peas is mentioned in Gregory's diary. Also remember that the journal only goes up to the 27th, and most of the time he talks about weeding the fields or writing a story for Joshua. It is also odd in the Gingerbread House chapter that there seems to be 3 holes dug at the side of the house. Maybe these are the spots where he buried the peas. Now, let us take a look at these 2 dates in a newspaper article about kidnapped children, located in the boarded-off room with sky wallpaper in the Gingerbread House. 21st June, 1929. Another unexplained disappearance. There has been another mysterious disappearance of a child recently. Following missing children reports on the 7th and 14th, police are now investigating this case as both a possible kidnapping and a missing person. Local residents are advised not to allow children outside unsupervised and to take caution around any suspicious individuals. The 21st and the 14th and the 7th are all Saturdays and are all associated with the missing children reports. Now, you may be thinking, well, the 21st and the 14th entries in the journal and newspaper articles match. But are there any mentions of children being kidnapped on the 7th from Gregory? Yes and no. First, let us look at both the 5th, the 7th, and the 8th from his diary. Thursday, June 5th. Rain in the afternoon. Joshua isn't feeling well, so I worked in the fields alone. as always. Saturday, June 7th. Rainy. Weeding again. Tomorrow morning, I'll go into town to sell peas, so tonight I must make preparations. It is a busy day indeed. Sunday, June 8th. Clear skies. I went to the market and sold peas and carrots. I had hoped to be able to feed Joshua something nutritious, but sales were not good, so I was not able to buy much. So, on the 7th report, there are no mentions of peas being planted in the ground. Instead, on the 7th, Gregory decided to go into town to sell peas, and on the 8th, he went to the market and sold peas and carrots. Why did he decide to sell peas at the market instead of burying peas? If we look at a combination of the 5th and the 8th journal entries, it was because Joshua was sick and needed something nutritious. So, your brain might be working overtime to understand what is going on. So, instead of just burying children in the ground, he decided to sell children at the market? Selling children at the market? Like as in slavery? No, not at all. Before I explain what he would be selling at the market, let us take a look at one last journal entry. Thursday, June 12th. Cloudy. Joshua is under the weather. He has a slight fever, so I fed him some hot pea soup. Now, ask yourself, does pea soup mean a vegetable soup or a cannibalistic meal? In Gregory's story, there is no mention of Stray Dog eating the pea, but what about grinding of the pea? Could that relate to the pea's preparation as food, such as grinding up a child to make child soup? If, for Gregory, a pea is sometimes a green vegetable, then we can't be certain that he doesn't mean vegetable soup here. So, can we find a way to interpret the entries on the 7th and the 8th so that pea means child every time that Gregory uses this term? Could the preparations for market that Gregory describes doing on the 7th possibly be the preparations of the meat of a child for sale to a butcher or directly to the public? Do farmers ever do this with meat from livestock? Yes, they do. Looking at a PDF file from the National Farmers Union, farmers selling meat direct to consumers or to small butcher shops make more per animal than through regular livestock market channels. So, Gregory could have tried selling child meat at the market, claiming that he just had slaughtered some livestock in order to buy some nutritious food for Joshua, in which the date of the first missing child makes sense. Also, due to the sales of the child meat being poor, causing him to make very little money, he decided to feed Joshua some pea soup because that was all that he could afford for Joshua, and he had to try and make him feel better. We actually have no evidence that Gregory really is a pea farmer, except for these statements in his diary about planting peas and trying to sell peas and carrots. I never saw any evidence of vegetable peas at his house or in his yard. Have you? Perhaps you feel this explanation I proposed is a little too far-fetched. Let's consider the normal pea soup explanation for a moment. It seems to me that there's something wrong with it. During the entire month, Gregory only mentions one meal on just one day that he prepared for Joshua: pea soup. But if Gregory is a poor pea farmer who has little to feed Joshua except for his peas, what is so special about having made Joshua some pea soup? What did Joshua eat all those other days? Raw peas? My point is, making pea soup should have been a very ordinary thing. I would think, too ordinary to have been written about, as if it was a special occasion. The ordinary explanation is too ordinary to fit well, it seems to me. It doesn't deserve a special mention in the diary. Gregory's other mentions of peas all cluster about those days that children go missing. Is it just a coincidence? I don't think the game developers would have that be the case. Here's one more thought about Gregory's story to end on. When Gregory says,
"Good night, young pea,"
at the end, is he referencing the buried pea? Or is the story meant to be a bedtime story? A bedtime story to a child who's being referred to a
young pea.
Would you sleep well hearing such a story, and then hearing the storyteller refer to you as
young pea?
Good night, young pea.